Yo! Hey!
Hello.
Hello.
Hey guys.
These
How's it going?
guys.
They're back! They're back. I love these two.
Really?
They're great.
They're wonderful.
Their
Will you
poor
be
finger must be so tired.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just such a smooth animation, though. I love it. Will you be bringing back the Chally one Date when you stream stuff? Oh, Somnium too.
Oh, hi,
Thank
Dragoni.
you, Dragoni. Don't know the answer to that because Dante's not the main character of that, so maybe we'll try it out. How
I
about
mean,
that?
it is just a picture of Iba.
That's true. It doesn't it say Date on it?
It seems I might know a
It says
little
gay.
bit more than you do.
Uh-oh. I see. Okay, cool.
Well, maybe you shouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
We could make it say
Mizuki.
Isabel. Mitsuki.
Yeah, maybe. It's longer. I don't know. I'll look into it. Anyway, hi. Welcome back to Grace Attorney. That's a different series that we'll get to later.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah,
Welcome.
hi. I think that we only streamed this like 2 days ago. Isn't that right?
No.
Something like
No?
that. No? What?
2 days ago, we got raided by Joe Seja.
Oh, yeah,
What?
that's right.
Yeah.
3
Oh,
days
that's
ago,
right.
I think.
3
3
days
days
ago.
ago.
You're right. You're right. So not that long
It would have
ago.
been 2 days ago.
Frankly, I'm glad for it because this chapter kicks ass so far. This is Saps, right?
We had then 1,000 red-headed people assembled in the park in Limp Streets today.
Lime Street.
Mamma
No.
mia! But I don't recall that a man in this photograph, eh, Capo?
No, I don't remember him. Obviously, he's dead now. But I assure you, he was not in the park.
Allora, the victim has nothing to do with us.
You have a lot to answer for, Peppino. It is your fault that we got caught in the first place.
What did he do? Oh!
What?
Oh. You've given sworn testimony that this man in the photograph was not present. Can you be certain?
Oui, I am quite certain. We did not interview this man.
Nobody's looking like this in the park. This I can very promise that I will say it in the pasta. God damn it.
Ah, Master Jolly.
It must be noted that you have been arrested for a grand deception, however. Accordingly, this court has little confidence in your assurances.
Well,
Oofa! With this attitude, we get nowhere, eh?
he's really a sulking now.
This confidential document was obtained directly from Scotland Yard.
Oh, directly from Scotland Yard, you say? Right from them?
Am I loud?
Straight from the source? That's crazy.
Unprecedented.
That's unbelievable. Okay, let's hear more about that.
It records an entry from the inspector's private diary dated to the day before the incident. It reads, Lime Street, Red-Headed League, undercover.
Ah, I have the answer. Maybe there is another similar event in the park on the day of the question, eh?
That is ridiculous.
Easy.
There's no question.
Easy though.
There's no question that Inspector Gregson was investigating the Red-Headed League, which means it's quite possible that that's when he was killed.
Very well. The defense may proceed with the cross-examination now.
Yes, my lord. Thank you, my lord. I will, my lord.
Do you won't?
Oh, but I will. The man in the
But we're
photograph.
just about to.
Hold it. Hold it. 1,000 people? That's a very big crowd.
It was quite a spectacle. Redhead's ad come from all over the capital.
See, the capo here, he has the
Magnetism?
Magnets.
Animal magnetism.
Yay! No one else could attract so many people. If I could be born again, it would be the capo.
All those people wanted was the money, Peppino. The £4 per week.
Oh.
Are you suggesting that you spoke personally with all 1,000 applicants? We said we did. Because every one of them paid us 5 shillings.
We are taking the names and we taking the money. And we are taking their addresses as well. And then I tell them we are taking some day to let them know by a postal. El finito. Maybe 2 minutes a person. We start early in the morning and we stop late at night.
So, you earned 5,000 shillings in one day? That's a small fortune.
Who would have thought that there were 1,000 such gullible redheads in London to start with?
One of whom was a great detective with chemically altered hair. Hold it. He doesn't look at all familiar.
No, I don't think so. And this is the wig, eh? He was trying to trick us. I do not like the people who are trying to trick the other people.
Says the con artist.
If between them they interviewed 1,000 people with red hair, it would be unreasonable to expect them to remember every face.
No, Sigone. Weaver. I may be small.
I was about to correct your pronunciation, but you made it better.
It's what I do, but my memory is very large. I never forget a thing. In my opinion, I don't think this is a man in the park.
But he's not going to give the court a definite, it seems.
Hey, Capo, you didn't see a man like this?
Hold it! But according to what you've said, you spoke with 1,000 or more people that day.
We, that's true. My eyes were burning by the end of the day.
Surely then you can't actually remember every single face. How are you so certain that this particular man wasn't present?
Normally the red hair is very distinctive, eh? But not when you have 1,000 redheads crowding around. Then it is just as I saw. But if there was some information you could give us, maybe then we could recall it.
That is not the line, Peppino.
I am familiar.
Remember, we do not remember him. We are sure of that fact, huh?
You just gave away the game.
If there was a man with a red earpiece, but his mustache did not match the color, then I do not think I could have forgotten him.
Cosmo said these two had only been shown that photograph, and they'd been told nothing else at all. But what if I just fed... But what if I fed them just one other detail about the victim? For example...
Fish and chips.
Oh,
The
actually,
fish and chips.
that is distinctive. That's not a
It would
bad
absolutely
idea.
be the fish and chips.
Let's try it. Let's try it. I can certainly appreciate that just knowing the man had red hair wouldn't help you remember in this situation. But what if I told you that the man was always munching on a packet of fish and chips? Do you remember a man who was eating incessantly?
Not really. I was looking only at the heads of the applicants.
Who would do such a thing?
Shut up. I wouldn't have noticed the fish and chips any more than the caviar and smoked salmon.
Or a spaghetti. Me, I love a rigatoni.
Jay, I just want to let you know that I love this little man.
He's pretty
Me
great.
too.
Really, I had no idea.
Tell them again what you said before, Peppino.
Somebody touch my spaghetti! Oh, no, she can't see. I say it again and again.
I hate that got me. Okay. Hold it.
Peppino, you little bastard.
But we only have your word for that.
Top piece of a broccoli. Oh, see, what else can we do there?
What's this expression for? True.
Oh, fuck. We are not having much fun these days. First we are arrested, then we are shown the horrible picture of a dead man. And now you question everything we just say. We are the victims here. Ichabod!
No, you were caught carrying out a plot to swindle hundreds of innocent people.
Thousands.
Hmm.
Harumph! You can bring... You had to bring the dapper. It's not fair. Ichabod!
Hey, Capo.
Ichabod!
You have a
Oops.
lot to answer
I
for.
skipped
That's-
that by accident. Oops. They haven't told us much.
Cappuccino.
They haven't told us much we didn't already know.
What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, if it was in the inspector's diary, it seems likely he must have gone to Lime Street that day. And yet, these two both claim that they didn't see him.
I have to say, they don't appear to be telling lies.
Well, they are experts in deception, don't forget. Sounding plausible is their specialty. They may be lying simply to avoid being implicated in this case as well.
Surely, if they were truly experts in deception, they wouldn't have been caught.
Well, yes, you do have a point there. It seems to me like we need more information.
Definitely.
Okay. Try again on that last one. What? One more. Do not skip this time. Thank you. Hold it. What do you mean by that?
Cavallo?
Cavolo! You promised not to say it, Ichabod!
After we had taken all the money that day, we should have left the country. That was my plan. I left the purchasing of the ticket for the ferry to Dunkirk to my companion here.
Is that no? Is that how they spell Dunkirk?
Maybe.
Ah.
Hmm.
But he bought them for the wrong day.
Oops. Huh? You alright?
So I have not brought up much, but for reasons I must move back home in about a month or so. And now I
See.
realize that my parents are going to hear me.
Oh boy.
Voices. What am I gonna tell them?
We
The
are
same
going
I
to.
did when they heard me do the Lily voice in Sun and Moon. Oops.
It is for entertainment purposes.
We are. See, now that I have that information, I am going to just, like say hello to your parents every time they go.
Say Norwegian is sorry.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Say Norway is sorry. Perfect. See, but this make a not. Oh, but this easy to make that.
Easy mistake to make.
He tripped over his Italian.
But this is an easy mistake to make, huh? The first, the 31st.
Oof, I have no sympathy for you.
I know it's stupid.
I
Okay,
have
no
never
sympathy
made
for
any
me.
mistakes. I've never made any mistakes in ordering tickets home. No, definitely not when I was in the Americas.
I see.
I just remember when I actually was at your guys' place, and then I remember on the day I was leaving home. Wait, the plane from the capital to my home was on the wrong day
Oh god.
because of time zones.
Was it far off? Did you just have to wait like a day or something?
Oh no, it had already gone by that point.
Oh, oops.
Oh.
The other way.
Whoops.
Whoops. We've had an all day late for the boat because of your stupidity. See? And it's because of this that the so-called Great Red-Headed Detective caught us.
Did I stab you with the fork? Oh,
Yes.
capo! You know what I think? This is the work of a god! It's a holy punishment, eh?
Peppino? For the last time,
I poke you with the fork, you get 4 holes. You're holy.
this is not only punishment. This is only your fault. Don't blame God for your unholy mistakes. You're making me sick with anger.
Hump! Maybe I make a mistake, but when it's time to eat the pasta, no one is a faster.
That's not massa.
And I've
It's
seen the
going
evidence.
to.
Okay. They haven't told us much we didn't already know. Is this just the same thing? Yeah, I think this is.
I think it's
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah,
Probably press on the middle one.
Ski. It's the middle one, you say?
Yeah.
Okay. So that we can get back to that question.
Yeah.
Whee!
I was sure it was the fish and chips.
I wish it was. Okay. For example, his name or profession? Well, he's not gonna tell them that he's a detective, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
his name.
then he would probably go under an alias as well.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I thought it would have to have been this fish and chips.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Might
try
as well
name.
try it.
I'm gonna try name.
Yeah.
I can certainly appreciate that just no. Yeah. But what if I told you that the man's name was Gregson? Give his whole name.
The man is a photograph. It's Monsieur Gregson.
Yes.
Names, they are boring. I do not listen to any of them.
But you wrote them all down, didn't you?
I wrote
Oh.
on capo. It was not a real really an interview, eh? It was just for a show. So why would I remember the names?
That's right. This changes nothing. The man in the photograph was not there, as we've already said.
I see.
Was anyone there clearly a cop?
It seems there's no little to be gained from pursuing this point further.
I did not see any cops. They
Now
have to
he's
tell you they are a cop. I am told this.
Now we ski. Okay. Back. So I
I
guess
guess we
it's
try the third
profession.
option then.
Yeah. I'm coming for you. Coming for you. Give me a minute.
Oh, here we're coming.
Oh, here we go. Okay. His profession. I could certainly. Yeah. But what if I told you that the man in the red hair piece was actually a detective, huh?
Is the man in the photograph a detective?
Yes.
It would appear he found your notice in the paper suspicious and decided to investigate incognito.
Sorry, but this changes nothing.
Oh.
What you got, Dino?
Pepino!
Something to add, Mr. DeRossi.
See, I am always adding something. Parmesan, olive oil, pepper.
What I
sounds
mean
pretty
is, yeah, it does. What I mean is, did you not agree with your friend's last remark by any chance?
What did you say about the detective?
Yes, that. Whack.
Keep your mouth shut, Pepino! You have said enough already.
But why, Campo? What is the problem?
You!
There is a man who said, I am an inspector from the Scotland Yard.
Why would he say that? What?
What?
Good
Why would he
lord.
say that?
I have a box.
Why would he say that? Order! Explain this vault face in your testimony. Vault face?
Uh-huh, yeah.
What?
You know, everybody knows that.
You know.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
volte-face. In your testimony witness. Anyways, I have to search what volte-face is.
It's simple. A man at the park door is cutting me off.
There was no such a man.
Why you gotta cut
It's
off your
just
friend?
French for turnabout
Oh, that's
or about face. Whatever.
Mayday!
may die.
My
Madame, what are you saying, Campo? Have you forgotten already?
I have forgotten nothing. Nobody likes this game to the park.
Fork! Basta, Copo, basta! You beat me million times. No, you beat me a million
No.
things. But not to the memory and the meals. Like I said, when this was to eat I'm trying to eat the pasta. No one is a faster.
Did he eat fish and chips faster than you did? But you're inferior to me in every other way. So shut up!
Objection? Yes. Objection.
Double slam.
Ugh! Trap-tard. The damage is done.
Indeed it is, sir.
There was a man who came to the park and he said he was an inspector from Scotland Yard.
Why would he say that?
I don't know.
He knows he's already been caught.
Oh, maybe.
However, he looked nothing like the man in the photograph. He was someone else.
Oh, how can you be so sure?
Because, to start with, his face was completely different.
See, it's true. The man who came was a young.
Are they just talking about Sholmes?
Oh, would Sholmes say he's from Scotland Yard?
Why would he say
Probably. A bad alias.
that? I guess.
Maybe.
His face was a clean shaven. His eyes were sadder. His chin was a thinner, like spaghetti.
No resemblance whatsoever, then.
Or is it the person we were looking for in the beginning of this trial?
Oh,
Oh,
right. The
that
the
guy.
husband of the
Oh, we
lady.
theorized that he had red hair. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, I was not going to be fooled. I took the obvious precaution and said to him, "If you are really a detective, show us the proof."
See, the capo here, he doesn't take on the nonsense, eh?
Then why do I take you?
I honestly do not know.
But he was well prepared. He said he had identification.
Identification? You mean official police inspector's identification?
That is most unconvincing.
Sorry, my lord?
Counsel, no incognito inspector would offer his identification for inspection. It's quite out of the question.
Definitely. Why would he expose his true identity? At least they're bringing it up.
Clearly, the papers were fake.
Senator Capo, you are a genius. As we say in Italia, it takes a thief to recognize another, eh?
Papino!
Counterpoint, Gregson's an idiot.
And what happened after he announced that he was a detective?
It became very annoying. He said, "You are under investigation." So I took his paper from him and chased him out of the park.
It was a fantastico. And look, here is
Give.
So you stole it from the man?
He had it coming. He made us very scared. But he was not who he said he was.
Indeed, the person described does not appear to have behaved as a true inspector would. However, I believe it would be prudent for these identification papers to be entered into evidence.
Yeah.
But I liked him.
Mine now. Thank you.
Time to read!
Yeah, we're gonna have a look at that.
Time to look.
Give me a moment. Hold up. Hang on. Okay. What do you have to say for yourself? Anything?
A warrant card.
Reveal your secrets.
You can open it.
Well, I suppose we should see what this inspector's identification looks like inside.
It's Gregson. It's gotta be.
Oh.
Right. Yes, it definitely looks fake, doesn't it?
Out of interest, what name is given?
Look at the way police is written. Probably just something plucked out of the air. It's Tobias
ow.
Gregson.
What?
Yep.
Wait, what?
This Scotland Yard insignia looks genuine to me.
But how?
And the department and identification number details are all correct as well.
Since when have you known those? Oh, wait, yeah. Wait, what? Wait, do you mean to say?
I know it seems incredible, but yes. I think this is a genuine identification book issued by Scotland Yard.
But that's unbelievable. This is the real thing after all? Eh?
I think somebody stole it from Gregson, maybe.
Oh,
That is
might-
possible.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay.
Now let us return to the witness testimony.
Okay. We're probably gonna present that to something. This victim has nothing to do with us. We'll have to answer.
You have a lot to answer for, Peppino. It is your fault that we got caught in the first place.
Haven't we read all these? I thought
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you
Yeah,
went
we
backwards
did.
to the previous message, because I think that may be changed now.
Wait, you're talking about 3? Hang on.
Yes.
I don't remember.
No, I don't remember him, and obviously he's dead now, but I assure you he was not in the park. No, that's
Obvious. I don't remember him at all. Oh, I see. Okay. Don't recall the man in this photograph. We have more than one.
Would the middle one be the one?
I would say the one where it says he wasn't in the park.
He was not in.
I
Yeah.
assure you,
Yeah.
he, meaning Gregson, was not in the park. Here is
Okay.
Gregson's
Yes.
identification papers.
Yeah, that makes sense. Take it. Objection. Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Sure.
Yes. I wonder if I could ask you to examine this identification book very closely. Miss Lestrade.
Why, Miss Lestrade?
Because she could verify.
Yeah.
What is your intention here, counsel?
Is this really a fake or is it genuine? That's the question. Which we can't really answer ourselves.
Don't be ridiculous. No Scotland Yard detective would allow his or her identification to be stolen.
Hold it.
Hi.
That is the boss's. No question about it.
It can't be!
As I suspected. The undercover detective who attended the Red-Headed League's enrollment on the day in question was the real Inspector Gregson, carrying out an incognito investigation.
So hello.
I think it's more likely that it was stolen from him.
Order, order!
But if the boss had his identification stolen, he would have reported it straight away. I mean, he was always on me about it. If you lose something, report it at once, he'd say.
Did they kill him and then take it?
Could it be then
Was he already dead?
that the inspector was physically unable to report it?
Physically, I do. What are you saying?
Unable to. You're not suggesting.
Yes, it's quite possible that he was killed before he had the chance to report his identification stolen.
No!
Ba, 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 ba.
Order! I said this a lot today. Order, order!
The defense posits that the victim was killed the day before his body was discovered at a different location. Do you two have anything to say about that?
No! I'm doing nothing. I'm doing nothing.
Peppino, this is also your fault.
Aren't you doing that?
Pull yourself together, Peppino. Mon Dieu. You can behave a little more like a master criminal than that, no?
It is my time. And now I return to Italia.
What fault is that? Stop crying, Peppino. Please. Otherwise, I...
Lume?
Lummy? Lummy?
Lummy?
I want to say Lummy.
Lummy,
What is
stop
a
your
lummy?
whining and start to talking. Start to talking. His accent is rubbing off on me.
I'm a victim.
Ah,
it's not only me.
Oh,
Here, I'm gonna go back to that one.
Well, I believe the court will need to hear your story in considerable greater detail.
Okay, well, one's good, yeah.
But you will tell everything, or face the worst possible outcome.
You will dry your eyes and testify again about these identification papers and the precise circumstances under which you came by them.
For crying out loud.
Again.
They're very sad.
So through this, we took him prisoner and kept him for the night in our secret hideout.
You did what?
What?
Even so, I didn't think he was a real detective. I was too scared to let him go that day, just in case.
Are you bullshitting us?
We took a demand identification card from him and shut him into the next room next to our
What the
house.
fuck?
There might have been a little tussle, but we did him no harm. And the next morning we let him go.
What?
He spent the night in a nicer room. It was nothing like a prison, really.
I don't believe a word of this.
I don't believe a word of this. You imprisoned the man.
But no, say no. It was not about like a prison. It was not. Except he couldn't leave. It was more like school.
No.
He was very comfortable and calm and happy. Ikabo. Why are you still crying?
It was never part of my plan. I swear it.
Woo! Uffa! So, you think it was a my fault, eh?
See, we.
Just because I got the date and the ferry wrong? By one little day?
I do not think it was your fault, Peppino. I know it.
No. Per favore, capo. It is not fair.
You shall have plenty of time for squabbling back in the prison, gentlemen.
I don't believe this. How could he ever been a real detective?
Counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination.
So on the day before the incident, Gregson spent the night confined in this pair's hideout? That's crazy. But okay. Alright, you. Hold it. Do you realize... Do you realize what you're saying?
You have to believe me. I never intended for that to happen. I am sure this detective did not intend it either.
Do you think?
But there was nothing else I could do.
See, nothing else. This was the first time for this capo. He was at the end of his wits, and I have no idea why.
I have told you before, Peppino. That is not the way to describe a criminal mastermind.
What about this hideout of yours?
An old empty house behind the park on Lime Street.
We rented the place for 2 days. It was an inspired idea by the capo here.
An impulsive idea, I would say.
No, not impulsive, inspired, capo.
What am I supposed to say to that, Peppino?
Thank you, Papino. You're a great Papino. Can I have some more spaghetti, Papino? And then I'm happy.
No!
Give me the spaghetti!
And it was in the house described that you confined Inspector Gregson, was it?
Wait. But you have to remember, I was under the impression that he was a pretender, not a real inspector.
Why would that matter? That doesn't quite add up, though. If you didn't think the man was a real inspector, there would have been no reason to take him prisoner, would there?
No, you are right, but I couldn't be completely certain.
Hold it. Too scared? Why?
Because, why had he come to the park? We didn't know. There was a chance that he had seen through my plan.
And if that was the case, he would go straight to the police station and blow the whistle on us. And if he was just feigning to be an inspector, he was up to no good, eh? Without a doubt.
I think most people would agree that it's you two who are up to no good.
I solemnly swear. Well, let's see, you may be right. Ikapoo!
Shut it!
Carry the bone.
The point is, we were not able to escape from England immediately. So that is why we had no choice but to take the man prisoner.
What I don't understand is why the inspector felt the need to show you his identification in the first place.
See, I asked the same question myself.
We were writing down the names and addresses of all the people who took 5 shillings from him that day. I have forgotten what name he said, but the address, it startled me.
I see. And there's a Scotland Yard, Homicide Division, he said.
What?
He probably didn't like your face, Peppino. Anyway, I was not rude. I just politely asked him why he had said it. And that's when he started to say he was an inspector. Not long afterwards, he took out his identification.
What was Inspector Gregson playing at?
Tell the court what happened next. You took him back to your hideout, you say?
See, we did.
I still don't think it was Gregson that these
Yeah.
two met.
I'm still wondering if it's a guy that we have a picture of.
Yeah.
I feel like it
Maybe?
must be.
This would explain why he's been
Nice.
missing. Oh.
Mhm.
Oh.
Can I see that picture? Real quick?
The picture of what? What we have here?
Oh,
Oh, the picture of the
one
guy?
to- Yeah.
This
Yeah.
one. Okay.
He was thin, clean shaven.
Looked sadder. He does look
yeah.
sadder.
Yeah,
He does
those
look
are pretty
sad.
sad eyes.
Yeah. That being this identification book here, correct?
See, that is the one.
What made you believe that it was forgery?
And that guy's the husband of the lady who was on the jury before, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I've never seen a real one, of course, but he was so suspicious, this man. Allora, I was thinking it would be a falso. Ikapoo!
Oui. It was just as Peppino has said. We were convinced it was not genuine.
And so together, the hilarious brothers, we took the man captive.
All we did was show him inside the locked room.
And then we locked it.
Then we made preparation to transport all of the money.
Hmm.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah.
Hold it. What do you mean by a little tussle exactly?
Oof, it was nothing. Just a minor incident.
The falso inspector, he was a real piece of work. Ikapoo!
What happened?
Oh, it was a disaster. We gave him a nicer room, and what does he do? In the middle of the night, he tries to escape us through the ventilator toilet.
Can you blame him?
We chased him, bien sûr. And we caught him again.
Can you blame us?
Yes.
Wait, you didn't shoot the man in your haste, did you?
So, who do you think we are? Of course not.
I simply caught hold of him again and took him back to the room.
What do you have to say for yourself? Excuse me.
Peppino.
Mr. DeRossi has something wrong.
No. Me.
Something
Hello.
something Mr. DeRossi just said seemed to make you well, it seemed to make you act even more strangely than usual. What was that all about?
Cavolo, at the times like that, you don't have the capo after you, believe me. And I'm speaking from my personal experiences.
Personal experience.
Yes.
That is enough, Peppino. There is no need to say more.
The truth is, the night before we put the Red-Headed League plan into action, I was scared. It was not fair for the capo, but I tried to run away.
It's a shame you didn't manage it.
But the capo here, he came after me like a turbine. Yes, like a turbine. He came at me, and then he dragged me back into the house, kicking and screaming, no, let me go. I still have the bruises to prove it, eh, capo?
Bruises, you say?
What?
Oh.
Oh, is that the same bruises that the other guy
Yeah.
had?
Oh yeah, the other guy.
Why did he have that?
Ah,
Oh,
you
but
want
did they
to-
hold him by the, like, collar?
Guess, maybe.
Maybe.
Ah, you want to see, yeah? You want to see my fantastical bruises?
That is enough, now, Peppino. No one wants to look at any part of you.
You kind of suck, dude.
What do I do? I show you or I don't. I show you or I don't.
You do! Now! Show me! Show me your bruise!
If everyone wants to see it, then I'll do it. Ooh.
Yep.
And go. You see? It's a very large visible thingy. Where
Pretty sure
is
that's
it?
a hickey.
That
Where is it?
that red ring around your neck? You got
Oh!
that. You got that when you were dragged back to the house.
See, the capo sometimes he is very rough.
I said that enough.
It is a compliment.
Peppino's neck has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. You have my word.
Yes. What is your opinion, Council?
About this red ring around Mr. DeRossi's neck. I wonder, does it matter? It's important.
It's always important.
Mr. DeRossi, I'm going to have to ask you to amend your testimony with details about that mark on your neck.
Hey, capo, you see, everyone is interested in what I have to say.
He knows where this is going.
Very well, you will amend your testimony as requested, Mr. De Rossi.
See, if you really want to know, remember, you were dragging me back.
Okay. He tried to escape. Oh, wait, no, that's new.
Oh, he tried to escape, but the capo put the collar on him and then dragged him back. Like you see, he did that to me.
A
What?
collar. That's new info.
Are you saying that red mark was caused by...
See, a big collar made up from a leather.
What the fuck with this guy?
Oh.
Is this like... It's not the leather from the,
Is it the same collar that we saw?
Oh,
Yeah, the one-
oh my
Did we say
god.
collar?
We assume it was said that that was a really big collar. Oh my god, what? A leather collar.
Is this true, Mr. de Rousseau? Are you really that kinky?
we.
Oh.
I can hide his no more! What? We had a Saint Bernard at home when I was younger.
Uh-huh.
It was a souvenir from that time. It's a very strong chain.
A strong chain.
And you put that around your friend's neck?
I'm sorry, I was so angry I said he was leaving me alone.
You did not have to tie the chain of a leg to a table, though, huh?
I nearly spit out my drink.
Wow.
I would not have to try to run again.
Boy, this testimony really took a turn. You didn't do that to Inspector Gregson as well, did you?
I am learning things about these witnesses that I did not expect to learn today.
Treat the people equal. It's the capo's motto, eh?
Then was the, lip guy the one that was pretending to be him?
Maybe.
It's starting to sound a lot more like pet play all of a sudden.
Oh.
No.
The capo is a tough, but the capo is a rough.
Shut it!
So, the following morning when you released the inspector...
He had the red ring of death around his neck, just like Camilla.
Peppino? S'il vous plaît. Leave it now.
Am I
You
supposed to
know,
believe...
we always talk about this. You don't tell me what those words mean. I don't really know how to communicate with you.
Me neither, Trigoni.
Fuck up!
Was this fake Gregson gossip? The guy from
Yeah, that's what I'm
yesterday?
thinking.
What?
Maybe.
Now you know, the capo here, you don't want to tangle with him, but for the inspector, he's not so bad.
Oh, wait, why? Oh.
Hold it. You took away the man's freedom. However comfortable you make it sound, you were still holding him prisoner.
If you will say that, then I say this. There is something that takes away your freedom too. The lack of an man. So if we are the prisoners as well, all of us.
Huh?
No man, no freedom. This is the truth. It makes me mad, and it makes me sad. What can we do?
Not in
well,
prison, people?
If you feel so disenfranchised, take money to court. Though it'll cost you, of course.
Oof, there you have it. You see, that is why we need the red-headed league to fight for justice.
Perhaps he has a point? No.
No, Mr. Naruhodo.
No.
No.
All we did was give the man a comfortable place to sleep for the night in a collar. And if you say it was a prisoner,
Perhaps he has a point again.
No again, Mr. Naruhodo.
But maybe, Susanna.
No.
you should have heard him snore. My die if anyone had been disturbed, it was us.
Whoops. Okay. Not much to go on, really.
Oh, not much to go on, you say? Their testimony does make me wonder, you know. About this pocket watch belonging to the inspector, I mean.
Yes, the one he treasured so much, apparently.
If he was confined but not restrained, as the witnesses are implying, he would have still been able to wind his watch.
That's very true, yes. So did Inspector Gregson actually die while he was being held captive by these redheads?
In which case, it's possible that these two young men are responsible for Inspector Gregson's...
To be honest, I find that hard to believe. Perhaps we should try to find out exactly what happened.
Very wise, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes.
Okay. Took prisoner and kept them in prison. Did we hear anything about this collar? Did we get this collar?
No.
No, we didn't
Not in
get
our
this.
evidence.
Do we have any evidence that we could relate to the collar, like a photograph of somebody's neck?
I can't present profiles.
Well,
Profiles aren't
picture
even...
of Gregson.
Picture of Oh, wait, does he
Oh
have
yeah,
one?
he might not have the bruise.
He
has
has
no
a
bruise.
Neck is
Oh.
visible.
The fact that he doesn't have the bruise is the problem. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So where do I do that?
Probably.
Yeah,
on
probably
this
here.
one.
Yeah.
Here.
It's got to be that one. Okay. Okay. Wait a minute. Does this guy have the bruise? No. Oh,
No.
damn it.
Well,
Well,
That's
this
a
would have been
picture.
taken before.
You're right.
anyway.
Yeah.
that's an old-
You
old
totally right.
picture.
You're totally right. Here, take this. Yes.
Yeah!
Yeah.
So the day before his body was discovered, Inspector Gregson was taken prisoner while working incognito.
No. It was not like that. It was hardly a prison. It was an invitation to stay. It was O'Malley.
However you describe it,
Oh,
there's one glaring inconsistency that remains.
What inconsistency is this, Counsel?
I would ask the court to look closely at this photograph of the victim, Inspector Gregson.
Do I have to?
you will see that there is no red ring visible around his neck.
But that makes no sense. It was me who took the collar off of the man in the morning. And I saw the bruises around his neck, just like I have.
Given that the mark is still clearly visible on this witness's neck, we'd expect to see bruising on the victim, who was put in the collar more recently than Mr. DeRossi.
Indeed. That is most peculiar.
But what will you tell you, eh? What? We say this from the very beginning, many times.
Oui, Peppino's right. The man is the photograph. He's somewhat different to the man we held captives that night.
This is chaos. Blah, 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 blah.
Order!
It would appear then that on the day before the incident, the man who visited the park on Lime Street posing as an incognito inspector was not Inspector Gregson at all.
Objection! If that's true, however, how do you explain the inspector's identification? This is a genuine identification book issued by Scotland Yard. It's inconceivable that someone could have stolen such an important item from the inspector. The prosecution made that assertion itself.
And we also know that the inspector had made a note about the Red-Headed League in his diary for that day. Which surely means we can't divorce the two events completely.
The inconsistency noted by the defense is most troubling. If it were the real Inspector Gregson whom these two red-headed gentlemen encountered, the fact that no bruising can be seen around his neck defies expectation.
But equally, if they had actually encountered an imposter, how did that person come to be in possession of the real inspector's identification?
Does the defense have a plausible explanation, counsel? Don't say they killed him.
The whole thing defies explanation.
Wait,
Huh? What?
your microphone is acting up a
Yeah,
little bit.
you're staticking and
Right now?
Wait, now it
still?
stopped again.
It seems like
Okay.
it stopped.
That's good. Let me know if it comes back.
I'm thinking Sadface maybe is the killer.
Oh.
Maybe.
I'm thinking gossip.
It is for precisely these occasions that we keep meticulous notes in the court record, Mr. Naruhodo. Because those are the facts, and facts cannot lie.
No, the facts can't lie.
You other the brothers can't deny.
Even when they point to something so incredible, it's almost unbelievable. Well, my lord, the true identity of the person who turned up in the park for the Red-Headed League's enrollment, give me a moment, just one moment, please. But I asked nicely. Is revealed by information in the court record, I believe.
Good gracious!
Very tantalizing, Mr. Naruhodo. So why don't you... Huh? Okay, I thought I was going to sneeze. Pardon me.
Oh.
So why don't you help us all to see whatever truth it is that you've apparently seen? Who exactly was this inspector that appeared before Mr. De Rousseau and Mr. De Rossi?
It's an imposter.
No!
Ugh. Though it seems incredible, I admit, the undeniable facts point to only one thing. Since no bruising can be seen on the victim's neck, the person who these two red-headed men took prisoner that day cannot have been Inspector Gregson.
In other words, your whole argument up to now has been a waste of time.
Objection! On the contrary, I haven't finished.
What? Nani?
There's no bruising on the victim's
Fucking
neck. So the question immediately posed next is, who exactly was this man in the park on Lime Street found to be carrying Inspector Gregson's identification?
It seems like your microphone is still popping a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still kind of doing the thing.
If I want to tighten that cable.
That's okay. Would you guys be okay with a quick break, so I can take care of that in a thing or two?
Go for
Yeah.
it.
Okay. We'll be right back, team.
Me too.
We're back. Hello.
Wow.
Hey.
Oh, wow.
Thanks for your patience. Okay. Did you say this already, Jay?
No.
Okay.
See, that's alright. We tell her the same story every time. Whoever this man is, the capo dragged him from a pillar to a post with a dog collar.
Mon Dieu, Peppino. That was not so harsh as you say, huh?
So, who was at the false inspector, eh? Who was he?
Clearly, the defense has an idea about that. About the true identity of the man these two imprisoned that night.
I must ask the counsel for the defense to elaborate post haste. Who did the witnesses encounter in the park posing as Inspector Gregson?
I guess it's gonna be you, huh? It's gotta be.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, here you go. Take that.
Goodness me, isn't that?
One of the witnesses who was in the stand this very courtroom earlier today. A nameless man whose only occupation appears to be peddling hearsay to passersby.
Objection.
What on earth would a street seller be doing with a police inspector's identification papers? Witnesses, is this the man or not?
What has happened to his lip?
Oh.
See,
Wait!
this man is not the red-headed league, eh? He's
Yeah, can we
looking for
look
the-
at
No.
the can we look at the other picture again?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
What?
The hair, it's pretty similar.
Oh, wow.
Oh my god. What?
Sorry,
Okay.
sorry about your face, buddy.
Yeah.
See, this man is not looking for the red-headed league. He's looking for that twisted lip league, no?
Perhaps rather than making such a rash claim next time, you should bite your lip instead.
Stop kidding facing us.
It seems improbable, yes, but one undeniable fact remains. During his testimony earlier, I noted something around the man's neck. A red ring of bruising.
Eh?
Nani?
The defense demands that Mr. Gossip be brought back to the stand.
Quoi? Que?
Order! Bailiff! Bring the aforementioned witness back into the courtroom. Immediately.
Well, hey, bud.
Oh, matchies.
Twinsies.
Well, I never. An undeniable ring of bruising indeed. And identical to that of the witness beside him.
Know what's going on here, eh?
Forgot this guy was me.
Always had this me. There's a birthmark in it.
A birthmark, you say?
I assume the reason you've been recalled to the stand has been explained to you?
I am somewhat about an inspector again. But I'm telling you, you've got it all wrong as usual.
You're denying all knowledge of it?
Well, of course I am. You're trying to kill me with all this nonsense, eh?
Well, at least you'll have more stories to peddle back on Fresno Street, won't you? Now, we're going to need you to testify again.
And you, Mr. Mr. DeRizzo and Mr. DeRossi, I'm sure you'll cooperate, won't you?
Do we have any choice?
We are in the big trouble, eh, Capo? Would it be my fault?
That is quite enough dilatory chatter. Proceed with the testimony.
Testimony. The inspector and the identification revisited.
The man will claim to be an inspector that day. Was definitely not this man.
Hmm?
Is it right, see? You think we would forget those grand lips, eh?
I'll never leave Fresno Street, alright? I've no interest in any red-headed league.
So those lips are fake.
I'm all alone in the world, me. Got no kinfolk or nothing. Why would I be involved in something like that? Just look at me, eh? Doesn't look like I could carry off in disguise with a face like this.
Well, we know what to press now. I would certainly appear to be that we have the wrong man.
What have I been telling you, huh? There was no need for this pointless testimony.
That's right, I'm just a simple peddler, remember? Fresno Street's all I know. How would I come by the police inspector's identification book, eh?
Well, yes, that's hard to explain, but
A brief cross-examination, I think, counsel. Very brief.
isn't there anyone in this courtroom who thinks I might be onto something? Oh.
I stand steadfastly at your side as always, Mr. Nadahodo.
Oh. Thank you.
I don't.
Oh.
Oh.
But what if you do and can't tell us?
I think you do. I think you do. The inspector and the... Yeah.
These feelings.
Feeling. Hold it! So you say, but how can you be quite so certain?
There is no need to urge your answer to the desk, monsieur. Surely the reason is obvious, no?
How'd you know it hurt?
Because I've never seen the lips like these.
Nevertheless, there's a clear red mark around Mr. Gossip's neck. And it looks very much like that left behind on the neck of your colleague by your prize collar.
Mon Dieu, with your word, it is like you try to wring my neck.
It does look very much like my neck, though, eh?
Wonder?
I didn't realize I was muted. No, this is a birthmark, lad.
You know,
The biggest lips in London and a neck to die for. Well, they broke the mold when they made me.
I think that's a very bad birthmark to be born with. That implies terrible
No.
things happened on the birthing.
Oh.
For the first time in my life, I feel lucky to have been born with red hair.
And I thought being Japanese made you stand out in London.
So you maintain that you've never seen this man before?
Oui, c'est ça?
C'est ça?
I swear to it by the flames of my hair.
So Fierce Pride has outgrown the frustration with your hair now, has it? And nope, no skip. No need to skip. Just hold it. Well, yes, I don't imagine I'll forget those lips in a hurry either. Very rude.
That is what I am saying. For some reason, it makes me want to eat. How did Fabienne call it? An eclair. You know, I have never seen the hair as black as yours before either.
Likewise, I'd never seen red hair like yours until I came to Britain.
It's a shame you are slightly colorblind. See, maybe this is a nationality trait, eh? Maybe all of the people in this Amanda country have a grand lips, eh?
Wonder.
I keep muting myself. No, lad, I was born right here on Fresno Street and I've never left.
There's a D&D game happening in my apartment, so I keep muting myself.
We don't hear anything, so I don't think it's really an issue.
Okay.
Well, we don't hear anything because she keeps muting.
We'll shout out if
Oh.
we do.
Let's
Yeah.
try without.
Oof! That isn't the problem, see?
So you definitely didn't go to the park on Lime Street that day, Mr. Gossip?
Now, how many times do you want me to say it, eh?
I think you did, though. Hold it. So, you'd heard of the Red-Headed League, had you?
Don't get a name like Gossip for nothing, eh? It's my business to know what's going off in town. I sold that tasty dippet to a fair few redheads that came past me. Just between us, I even got a sandwich to cough up for it.
Well, he does have a very red nose, if that counts.
Who knows? Heh.
But as you can see, my own hair's not got a hint of red in it. And in any case, Fresno Street's my patch. You won't catch me sidling off to some other part of town. No, sir, not likely.
Excuse me. Mr. de Rizzo.
Oui? Can I help you?
Did Mr. Gossip's word just now lead you to remember something relevant, perhaps?
It was the other day when I was looking for a place near the park. A small house or something.
To be the headquarters of your Red-Headed League, yes.
I visited an housing agent on Lime Street, and there I saw him. This man was paying money to the agent.
What?
Loney?
Mr. Gossip with a housing agent?
Oui? He had some kind of contract and they were clearly discussing terms.
Oh, in his hand.
Oh, in his hand!
Yeah.
But no, you're mistaken, chum. Oh, I've never left Fresno Street, me, like I said before. You mistaken me for someone else? Someone with the same face?
No, the captain is right. I remember it too. He was paying the man with his bank notes.
With notes?
IOUs, to be exact.
What? Like I said, that wasn't me.
I was curious why this man with the dirty clothes had so much money. So I looked at the name in the papers.
And what name was written? Mr. Gossip?
No, this man here lies. He tells you that he has no name.
Oh,
But in fact, his name is Hugh Boone, eh? It's better than Mr. Gossip, I think, you see?
No!
oh.
I'm a peddler of tidbits of information, like I said, on Fresno Street, and that's that.
Where did I go?
I don't much like folk talking about my personal life.
Then change profession!
Okay.
And it is not the intent of the court to invade the privacy of the witnesses. Very well, I shall respect your wishes, sir. The aforementioned name shall be redacted from all court records of this trial. Assuming no objections.
Objection,
Of
actually.
course.
Sorry about
No, it's
that.
objection. Yeah, I'm sorry, my lord, but the defense does object. Because the name just mentioned has a very deep significance to this case.
Good gracious! Do you similarly object, Prosecutor Asogi?
As it happens, my lord, that particular name has already been mentioned during today's proceedings.
Well, I never. In what capacity?
Hugh Boone? The name of the leaseholder of the room.
Let me put this very simply. The victim's body was discovered in your rented room.
I suggest, sir, that you start talking.
Well, all right. I suppose that might be the case, eh?
Ow. It's back.
Don't worry about the post.
So your real name is Hugh Boone.
No.
Well, just between us, I don't like to blow my own trumpet, but there's no final paddle of tidbits in town. So I happen to be able to afford a grubby little room in a falling down backstreet townhouse.
You do.
Once every 6 months, I go and pay the rent to the agent on Lime Street. I remember now. There were 2 vulgar redheads in there last time.
If either of us is a vulgar, it is not to me!
Think again, Peppino.
Why didn't you bring us up before?
It's like I told you already. I don't like talking about my personal life. I'm a tidbit peddler as far as everyone else is concerned, no false.
You will update your testimony to include this most surprising revelation, Mr. Boone.
If I must.
So the leaseholder Scotland Yard has been looking for since the body was discovered has been here under our noses all along.
I rent the room where that fellow was found, it's true. For what difference it makes.
Hold it. So, you live in that room, presumably, do you?
No, I don't live there. What do you think? There's no bed, is there? Just a desk.
Then, why would you want to rent it?
Well, I don't think I should have to say, really.
Then how about the notice board in there? Which was covered from top to bottom in confidential documents only the police should have access to.
No, that board's not mine. The inspector must have brought it along. It's only the other It's only the other bits and bobs that belong to me. The desk and the chair and that.
People don't generally carry enormous notice boards around with them. The real question is, why was Inspector Gregson killed there in your room?
Well, obviously, I've not the faintest idea. I mean, it's causing me no end of bother, to be honest.
It seems to me that Mr. Mr. Boone, would rather as little is known about his room as possible for some reason.
Yes, it does come across that way, and more importantly, knowing that the scene of the crime is actually his room completely changes things. In particular, there's one part of his testimony that's really bothering me now. That's how I'm finally going to undo this man. Okay, he's saying
I hope
something.
this guy has a
wrong.
good end boss animation or whatever.
That'd be fun. I'm all alone in the world.
Probably gonna rip off his lip or something.
No kinfolk or nothing.
Wait, were we
Don't
not?
you have a wife?
Yes.
Supposedly. We just did this one, didn't we? Why did they have a conversation like we were done? Hold it. You mean you have no family?
No, none at all. So I spend my days in Fresno Street peddling dibbits as passers-by. Open, and just between us, that is. Eventually someone else with lips like mine will come along.
I don't think so!
Then we'll mush them together. You may be right.
Anyway, that mark on your neck is just too much of a coincidence for us to ignore.
But what's a fellow to do then, eh? If you don't believe me, we're at an impasse. And there's nothing I can do but flick my lip.
Please stop.
It looks like I'm not going to get anywhere here unless I can produce some proof.
You're basically saying I got dressed up and posed as some fancy inspector, aren't you? Well, it's beyond me how you think I could do that.
Hold it! Maybe you could, say, with a mustache or a beard to cover up that lip.
Aye, perhaps. If I was going to stick some fake facial hair on to cover up this fine specimen, I'd end up looking like his lordship over there, wouldn't I?
Fuck you. I assure you that my lips are entirely unremarkable. And I would ask you not to cast such scrutinizing looks in my direction, Counsel.
There's an extremely Ace Attorney 1 judge moment right there. Sorry, my lord. My imagination got the better of me there.
Well, Inspector Gregson did wear a mustache, of course.
You're right, he did. So perhaps he was hiding something himself.
You could barely have hidden a crumb in a mustache of that size.
And anyway, The detective we spoke with had no facial hair at all.
See, the couple was alright. He was a clean shaven.
It certainly seems beyond the realms of possibility that this witness could have disguised himself as the victim.
Aye, it does and it is.
That's the
Square.
extent. That's the extent of their testimony. Is it square?
What's your feeling, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, what Mr. Boone says is undeniable. It would be all but impossible to hide those lips with any form of disguise.
Perhaps, yes, but nevertheless, the mark around his neck is equally undeniable. And it's identical to the one that Mr. De Rossi suffered.
Yes, that's true. But why does this whole disguise idea just keep playing on my mind? It's probably that last one then. Look at me. Does it look like I could carry a disguise with a face like this? Well, if we're talking about the disguise, it's gotta be that. Am I just gonna present this picture?
I would say so.
Yeah, I'll have a save.
I hope we're not.
Save.
I hope we're not too far ahead.
Yeah.
No way.
I mean,
We've
they're
never-
very clear talking about, I can't disguise
Do
myself.
We know the wife lady's name.
I don't think so, but there is a photo of her in his room.
Yeah, wait a minute. No, we do know it. We do. How do I just look at my... I guess I can't. Okay.
No,
Right,
no.
never mind. What about this? Miss
Yeah.
Visual.
Oh,
yes.
that's right.
This
Yeah.
is Vigil.
You-
Okay.
Well,
So,
but
okay.
the name might
Okay.
very easily be fake as well.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
okay, before we present the photograph of him,
Uh-huh.
should we present the photograph of her on the statement that talks about him not having any family?
Oh.
Because he did say that everything else in that room belonged to him,
Yeah, true.
which means that that photograph belongs to him.
I think you're onto something. Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have no kinfolk, as you put it, then explain why it is that among the sparse furnishings we found this photograph in the room.
Oh.
I presume, as you've been renting the room, that this photograph belongs to you, does it not?
Oh, well,
Mr. Boone, drop the pretense and tell the court exactly who you really are.
I don't know what you mean. I'm a peddler. I keep telling you so. I really don't need bother with me. Just leave it alone. As the man says, leave it alone. Whatever the truth is about this man's life, it has no bearing on this case. Because it's simply not possible that he impersonated Inspector Gregson.
Objection! How can you be so sure?
Just look at the man. No amount of disguise could ever hide those unmissable features.
Objection! Heh. But what if we were to look at this the other way around?
Haha!
What do you mean?
Yes, counsel, what do you mean?
Well, there's no denying that Mr. Boone's lip is very prominent indeed. But consider the possibility that his prominent lip is itself part of an elaborate disguise. Then hiding that prominent feature, in other words, revealing his true face, would make an utterly impenetrable disguise. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Hugh Boone?
Oh!
Good. Witness! Are you still hiding the truth from this court?
If that's a disguise, then underneath it, his true identity must be.
Yes, that's right. There's really only one person he could really be. My lord, the defense believes it can reveal Mr. Boone's true identity to the court.
No, please, no. Please.
Please, yes, very counsel.
Very counsel.
What is the true identity of this peddler who goes simply by the name of Gossip on the streets?
Was he? Oh yeah, here he is. Oh, he looks so sad.
Daily Vigil.
Daily Vigil. Here, take that. Your real name is actually Mr. Vigil, isn't it? Mr. Daily Vigil.
Now that's a pun. Oh!
I don't recall that name, Counsel. Who is this Mr. Vigil?
It's a name I encountered yesterday, my lord. It has to do with a certain client of Mr. Herlock Sholmes. A young gentlewoman came to the detective asking him to locate her missing husband. The woman in this photograph, in fact. This is Mrs. Vigil.
What?
From what I understand, you haven't returned home since the night before the inspector was found dead. But of course, on that night, you were being held captive by the two red-headed League men.
And last night, were put up by the prosecution service in preparation for testifying in this trial. Because we'd been led to believe that you, Miss Venus, and Mr. Sandwich were all homeless. Being important witnesses in this case, we need to know where we could find you, of course.
And that explains why you've not only been unable to return home, but also unable to contact your wife, who's been beside herself with worry waiting for you at the Vigil residence.
Keeping her daily vigil. Oh no, you just went on a minute now. I just.
What I'm talking about? Really?
That's a good face.
It's a simple enough matter to confirm my suspicions. All we have to do is pull off that disguise.
No, please.
Bailiff, bring soap, a sponge, and a wash bowl at once.
Finally!
Mr. Rousseau and Mr. Rossi, you will restrain the witness.
What?
Why these
Oui,
two?
my lord.
See, my lord.
We only have the one bailiff. Oh, no.
You won't get
Stop.
away.
Get off. Don't.
Why were they
I'll
so
hold you like
willing
a
to
little-
help? They were so willing to help.
I think we are broken. Whoa!
Wow.
Oh no, he's hot.
He's
He's got that chiseled nose.
Well, we are now seeing your true features, I presume.
Oh.
Wow.
Does the voice change?
Oh, you know the voice changes.
Yeah.
Lift your head, sir, so the court can see your face.
Oh.
It would appear that the defense counsel's assertion was entirely correct. This has all been a very elaborate deception. So, witness, tell the court. Have you seen this man before?
I don't believe it, but
See, there is no question. This is the inspector we saw in the park.
Extraordinary!
On the day of the Red-Headed League enrollment, the man claiming to be Inspector Gregson who appeared before Mr. De Rizzo and Mr. DeRossi in the park.
Was you disguised as the inspector? Or rather, was you posing as the inspector in no disguise at all? Oh.
Mr. Vigil was formerly employed as the chief warder at Barclay Prison.
The chief warder. Then your career had promise. Why, you would quite possibly have become the future governor of the prison. What on earth have you been doing peddling tittle-tattle on Fresno Street?
Well, it's been 10 years since Mr. Vigil worked at the prison.
10 years?
guess why?
Oh. I'm really dreadfully sorry about all of this. Yes, it's true. I am daily vigil. And you were the chief warder at Barclay Prison 10 years ago. So where did Mr. Hugh Boone come from? Boone is the other me. It's a name I invented.
Well, Evidently, there is a great deal under the surface here.
I'll explain everything.
Thank your phone.
I'll tell you just how wretched my life has become. As you say, it was 10 years ago now that my employment as Barclay's chief warder came to an end. Having left the prison service, I searched for some new occupation by which to earn a wage. But times were hard in London, and I found no suitable engagements at all. In desperation one day, I turned my hand at selling wares on Fresno Street.
But your wife appears to know nothing of this. She still maintains that you are the chief warder at Barclay Prison.
I was utterly determined that my wife should not know of my failings, which is why I've never told her. I opened an account at the bank under the name of Hugh Boone, and I rented the cheapest room I could find on Fresno Street.
The scene of the very crime we're investigating.
Yes, that's right. A place from which I could emerge every morning at 8 as a squalid peddler, and transform myself back every evening at 5 into a well-dressed man about town before returning home. It quickly became my daily routine. I was puzzled by the lack of furniture in the room, but that explains it.
But why on earth didn't you just tell us this in the first place?
I have a wife, sir, and 2 sons. Without wishing to sound self-conceited, they regard me with some pride. I couldn't bring myself to disappoint them.
So instead you decided to conceal your occupation from them.
Yes. I've made such a terrible mess of everything. Still, one thing doesn't add up. No matter how many tidbits of information you could sell to passing gentlemen, even at 6p apiece, you couldn't hope to match the salary you must have commanded as chief warder at the prison.
Very true. To have kept your family in comfort despite 10 years of somewhat misbegotten employment.
That was all thanks to Inspector Gregson.
What? Inspector Gregson? What on earth?
It was some years after I had invented Boone and begun my other life as a street seller. He, the inspector that is, recognized me one day.
Do you mean to say the victim was an acquaintance of yours?
I knew him from my time working at the prison. Oi, chap! When you saw what I'd become, he was deeply troubled for me and my family. And from that day forward, he visited me on Fresno Street with increasing regularity. Then one day, he asked me if I would carry out a secret assignment for him.
A secret? What was it?
I was to impersonate the inspector.
What are you doing?
What? Impersonate him?
We always met in that little room so the inspector could brief me.
Visit Orgseas tomorrow and take a statement from the proprietress.
It was always something along those lines. Surveillance work, interviewing people. On those occasions, he would lend me his identification so people would believe who I was. My instructions were to make an impression, to let people know that Inspector Gregson had been at work. And for those services, he compensated me financially.
A Scotland Yard inspector willingly relinquished his identification into your care with the intent to deceive. That As I'm sure I need to not point out, it's a very serious criminal offense.
But why? What was the point of you impersonating him?
I truthfully do not know. All I can say is that the inspector warned me on numerous occasions. Now remember, Vigil, I need your solemn word. You don't blab about this to anyone, all right? Ever. Even if, well, if I end up a croaker. I'm starting to live in Australia now, but it's okay, I'm dead. In time, he started to bring papers with him to the room as well. It became something of a second office for him.
So, in fact, the person who declared himself to be Inspector Gregson at the park on Lime Street was really...
Yes, it was me, acting on the inspector's orders. As usual, I removed my boon disguise, and then went on instructed to the park armed with the inspector's identification book. It's a very good impression, don't you think?
Yeah.
I've always been wonderful with accents. It's a bit of a parlor trick, really. I'm getting off track. It never occurred to me that the bruise on my neck might give me away.
When British people die, there's a 50% chance they turn Australian. It's a known bug.
Oh.
Well, it would seem that this confection completely destroys the defense's case.
Confession.
Well,
Explain yourself, Prosecutor Asogi.
Eh?
my learned friend's assertions was as follows. The victim was killed at another location on the day before his corpse was discovered. At the hands of these two red-headed league men when they imprisoned the inspector. But no, that cannot be. Oh. After
That's
all,
very good.
it wasn't the inspector who went to the park that day, it was me. It was me all along.
Oh, goodness.
Finally, we have clarity. We had nothing to do with the murder of the inspector. And merci, Monsieur de la Défense, for proving it.
What? Ah! Dang it.
Order, you have heard the drill. Indeed, it would appear that we have reached a de facto conclusion of sorts. The witnesses had no involvement in the murder of the victim. As proven, somewhat ironically, by the defense. I hereby call an end to the cross-examination.
Hold it. Oh.
But just because the defense's assertion is wrong doesn't mean that, you know.
Pardon me, my lord, but with your permission, I would like to pose one further question to the witness.
Kazuma?
What question, counsel?
It concerns the events of 10 years ago. I believe you would have been present at a very significant execution that was carried out at the time.
10 years ago.
Oh, the execution of the professor. Genshin Asogi!
I want to know exactly what your involvement was.
Oh,
Answer me, man.
One moment, counsel. Is this related to the current case?
Naturally.
Bitch, you're lying!
I'm an attorney. Of course I'm lying. It is the prosecution's belief that this case and the events of 10 years ago are I thought I could get that in one go. Are inextricably linked.
Does the defense concur, Counsel?
Sure, why not?
Kazuma, you're not yourself. You're not as calm and collected as usual.
Oh, Kazuma-sama. No wonder he's acting this way. Mr. Vigil's memories of what happened 10 years ago would tell the tale of Genshin Isogi's last moments. His own father.
I know. I do understand that. But even so... Prosecutor Isogi. Do you genuinely believe that this question requires an answer in order to learn the truth behind Inspector Gregson's death?
I need you to trust me. Please. Please.
Very well. Then the defense has no objection.
I see. In that case, you will answer the question, witness.
The truth is, I remember very little of that time. You've forgotten?
How dare you?
I'm sorry to say, yes. As I said, I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. But for some peculiar reason, my memory of the events leading up to that moment is extremely hazy.
Does that not strike you as strange, Mr. Naruhodo?
Sorry?
Well, 10 years is a long time. But to have forgotten the reason why he left such an important job...
Yes, you're right. And not only that, Mr. Vigil's claim contradicts what we already know.
The human spirit... Pardon me. The human spirit is a fragile thing. It's broken all too easily. Which is why we have a tendency to wrap it up for protection. Sorry, the human spirit? I'm afraid I don't understand what you mean. When we experience pain and suffering that we feel unable to bear, we block it out, obliterate it from our memories, seal it away. But it never truly leaves us. If the seal is broken, the memories resurface. And when they do, that fragile spirit may finally be crushed. But I really don't.
Kazuma-sama.
But if it must be crushed, then so be it. Because the truth will not stay buried. It's coming out one way or another.
Right. Now I understand. It's clear what his intentions are. He means to expose the truth at any cost. Perhaps if I pointed out the contradiction in what Mr. Vigil claimed earlier, it might cause some crucial memories to return to him. But should I? Should I present the evidence or not? Yeah, do it. Yeah.
Do it. Do it. Do it.
Do it!
I have no idea how this is going to go. Do it! But this is a court of law, and I have a duty to pursue the truth.
Do it. Do it.
Mr. Vigil, I'd like you to take a look at this. Evidence that clearly... ah, damn it. Evidence that clearly contradicts your version of events. What are you talking about at Ryunosuke? What are you talking about? What are you talking about, bud? What's that mean?
What are we trying to disprove here?
I don't know. His version of events.
Disprove
check the
that he
logs
doesn't
again?
remember?
What version of which events?
Oh,
10 years?
the Reaper board, probably.
This?
Why?
He's very concerned about the Reaper events. Like, they seem to be relevant somehow. Like, we have assumed this is Gregson's, but that's not necessarily true. He might be trying to find out the truth about what actually happened that time.
I'll try it. Take that. No, this isn't it.
Oh!
What am I doing? There's no point deliberately trying to deceive myself. I've got to look this truth square in the eye.
What do you mean to do? The way you're looking at me.
He claims that he resigned from his job at the prison all those years ago. But we have decisive evidence that says differently.
Is the issue that he said he resigned?
Oh.
I get it.
He got fired, didn't
Oh, I think we do have that in
Yeah.
evidence. I think we have that in
he?
evidence.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Allow me to present the evidence again.
Thank you for being smart, Naruto.
No punishment? Mr. Vigil, I'd like you to take a look at this. Evidence that clearly it's this. Yes, it's this.
Dismissal.
Take
There we
that.
go.
He was like, you dumbass, that's not the correct evidence.
I didn't know what he was
Dumbass me.
talking about because we were memeing over what he was saying. Just a few moments ago, you made the following statement. Do it. I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago.
Don't do it.
Do it.
Well, yes, of course.
In other words, you claim. Sorry, one moment. Sorry. In other words, you claim to have left the post of chief warder of your own volition.
You know we had to
Well-
do it to him.
Well, yes, of course. Why?
Tell me, do you remember seeing this document before?
No, I don't.
This is dismissal.
Liar.
No, this is a dismissal notice ordering the immediate termination of a prison staff member's employment.
A dismissal notice.
And the name on the notice is yours, Mr. Vigil.
What? Nani? What? It's mine? So you didn't resign from the prison service at all? For some reason, you were dismissed as chief warder from Barclay. No, there's been some mistake. I'm sure. I'm sure I tendered my resignation. This dismissal notice is nonsense. Is it? If you were forcibly dismissed, there must have been a good reason. Clearly, you did something.
Did it.
Mr. Vigil, it's time to break the seal and have you remember.
Done it.
Diddle.
According to the few remaining records, the final execution that you supervised was on 17th June 10 years ago. And on that day, something very serious took place at Barclay Prison. The 17th of June.
Was that the professor's execution?
Professor.
As you were the chief warder at the time, it stands to reason that you would have been present throughout the proceedings.
It does sound familiar.
And yet, that execution never took place. The convict, ostensibly executed earlier that day, later re-emerged from his grave.
The convict came back to life.
In the cemetery in the middle of the night, there was a witness.
However, the witness claims that a moment after he saw the convict clambering out of his grave, a gunshot rang out from over his shoulder, and the bullet pierced the professor's chest, killing him instantly. Those may have been the professor's actual last moments.
Yes.
This guy's getting creepy. Seeing as you were in charge of the overseeing executions at the time, you must know the truth about what really happened. It's in your head, somewhere deep down. Well, Chief Warder Daily Vigil, I know there are memories in your head that can explain what happened on the 17th of June 10 years ago. And now it's time for you to drag them up.
Mr. Vigil.
Do it. Do it. Do it.
Yes, the whole prison. It was complete chaos. The prisoner escaped. He was killed in the cemetery. The shocking news ripped through Barkley like a hurricane.
What? What?
Order! Order! Do you mean to say, Mr. Vigil, that your memories of the time have returned?
My head, it's like some floodgates have been opened. The images, the screams,
Oh my goodness.
Ew.
the papers. Yeah, there were reports, articles about a man who'd seen a ghost.
Yes, Enoch Drebber.
But surely those reports were exaggerated.
There were traces of the scene.
Traces of what?
In Lowgate Cemetery, at plot number 139. Blood. Lots of blood. That's where the man was buried, of course. Yes, obviously something terrible had happened there.
The depths of the conspiracy and depravity from which this tale is emerging are quite staggering.
I've reviewed the police records from that time extensively. A thorough investigation was conducted by Scotland Yard to ascertain how the convict managed to escape in the first place. And the conclusion reached by the investigating team was that a member of the prison staff must have been involved.
Are you suggesting that a prison warder abetted the man's bid for freedom?
Yes, and I was suspected of doing it. Of using that mass murderer's execution as a way to help him escape.
You did what?
I remember now. The horror of it all is coming back to me. One evening, a few days after the execution, some detectives came to the prison. I was called to the governor's office at the top of the watchtower.
Can you stop? You're making me dizzy.
Oh yeah, him.
I'm sorry, Daly. This is serious business, but I cannot help you, no. The chief warder, you were responsible for overseeing the execution before, eh? Well, it seems the fellows at Scotland Yard want to have a few wee words with you about it. You better pack your things, laddie. You're to attend in person.
As soon as he told me that, my mind just went completely blank. And the next thing I knew, The professor, the most hated killer in our country's history. And I let him escape. I'm finished. My life is over.
What?
Oh, okay, window. He did it.
God damn it! Order! Bartley, fetch the doctor at once!
Wow.
Court is adjourned for today with immediate effect.
Okay.
Are we gonna end the chapter here?
With Mr. Vigil's collapse,
Oh,
Proceedings came to an abrupt end for the day.
he doesn't usually talk if we're not at the end.
Once again
Uh-huh.
overshadowed by the legacy of that notorious killer, appearing like a cursed ghost ship on a foggy ocean. Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Vigil, Kazuma, and Gregson. All of them bound by invisible chains anchored to the same wreckage in the murky depths of the past. But the miraculous light that had been trying to cut through the gloom and shine on those tragic events was playing on the edges of the truth at last.
It's very poetic. To be
To be
continued.
continued.
To be continued.
In the next chapter, or are we gonna keep going? Save? Yeah, of course they'll save. Who wouldn't save? Everybody
No,
would save.
don't save.
I'm gonna
Well,
save.
the last time we saved.
I'm gonna save. Don't worry about it.
Investigation part 2.
Oh,
Okay.
We don't need this progress. Nah.
Nah.
So I'm having fun. How are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Having a great time!
Good scene. Very good
It's a
scene.
grand old time.
It's November.
Dude,
I like
it
how many
is.
voices that guy has.
Yeah. I still can't quite believe what just happened.
I know. I inquired with the Barfaleaf after the court session, and after the court session was adjourned, and it seems Mr. Vigil was taken to hospital to recover.
What is
I know
it,
what I
guys?
said.
Said that yet.
I know what I said.
Right.
Which is, I don't think I've heard her say that, so it was very.
10 years ago now, Mr. Vigil attempted to commit suicide by jumping out of the window of the prison governor's office. But ever since then, he's completely blocked the memory of those events from his mind. Nobody knew his secret, not his family, not even the man himself. But I forced it out into the open. Was it wrong of me to do that? Did I overstep the mark, I wonder?
No. The answer is no.
Bruno!
Iris!
Haven't seen
Oh,
you in a while.
Iris!
You're a sight for sore eyes.
Missed me!
Yes!
You were miles away. Anyway, I brewed a fresh pot of tea, soothing tea for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You and Susie have had an exhausting day, haven't you?
Oh. Thank you, Iris. How thoughtful of you.
Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is? When we came out of the courtroom back into the defendant's antechamber, he'd disappeared.
Oh, no, I don't know. He just suddenly sprang to his feet and left. All he said was, I must leave.
I wonder if he's pursuing the mystery of Inspector Gregson's death.
No.
Hmm.
Well, you know what Hurley's always saying, don't you? These are mysteries in the world that should perhaps never be solved. For the construction of a solution comes only at the expense of the destruction of something else.
What does that mean?
He knows very well that when you open someone else's old wounds, you often open your own too. But he just can't take his own advice and leave well alone. Solving mysteries is too important to him.
That's so true.
But that's what I like about Hurley after all.
I suppose that's the lot of a great detective in some ways.
So then, let's have tea, and then I'll give you a hand.
Oh, do you have time, Iris?
Yes, I finished this month's manuscript at last. With barely a day to spare before the deadline.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. A brand new story to read in the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes.
You know, I always hide Hurley's violin in the days before I have a deadline.
You do? Poor Mr. Sholmes.
Poor me!
I'm sure that's very wise, Iris. How sensible of you.
Now then, my dear fellows, let's make a plan of action before we continue our investigation.
Okay, let's talk.
So, how did it go in court this morning?
Well, we still don't know the truth about what really happened, but one thing's increasingly clear. Lord Van Zeeks definitely didn't do it.
Oh, goody!
Yes, that's right. We managed to uncover several new facts as well.
Oh, really?
And there was another development too. Cosma.
Yes, it's quite clear now that Kazuma-sama is not himself. The way he's acting, it's almost as if he's possessed.
I know. I mean, at the end of the proceedings earlier, he was like a bloodhound the way he was chasing down Mr. Vigil's forgotten past. He's not normally so mercilessly persistent. What's going on in his head, I wonder? I really need to sit down with Kazuma and try to understand what he's going through. Okay. If Gregson was really murdered the day before his body was discovered, then Lord Van Zeeks has to be innocent, you see.
What? The day before? Well, that should be easy enough to work out. Just by examining the corpse, surely.
Yes, you would expect so, but curiously, no time of death was included in the autopsy report.
That is curious.
There's still unanswered questions about Lord Van Zeeks, though, aren't there?
Do you mean?
I mean, what was he doing out there on Fresno Street that day in the first place?
Well, according to the man's testimony, he said he was investigating Inspector Gregson, didn't he?
And it turns out that that little room was actually the inspector's secret office.
Ooh, that sounds like it has all the makings of a wonderfully devilish plot.
But then why was that notice board in there covered in all those particular papers? Papers about the case with a link to the Reaper. I'm starting to get a bad feeling about all this.
Oh dear. That sounds like something horribly devilish.
We must start by looking into Inspector Gregson's movements of late.
Okay. More. I never imagined I might have to be investigating the inspector's movements.
Well, according to the entry in his diary, he was carrying out an incognito investigation of the Red-Headed League the day before his death.
Oh, you mean he was doing the same as Hurley?
Well, Mr. Sholmes was trying to apply, whereas the inspector was supposed to be investigating.
I do wish it had been the other way around.
Anyway, as it turns out, the inspector who went to investigate the Red-Headed League that day wasn't actually Gregson at all. It was Mr. Vigil in possession of Gregson's identification.
You know what that sounds like to me? Establishing an alibi.
Oh my! Yes, you're absolutely right, Iris.
But why would Gregson need an alibi?
It would appear that the inspector had something to do, or it had something to do that he wished to keep secret.
I don't believe it. I always thought he was just a harmless lover of fish and chips.
But perhaps they were seasoned with something a little more potent than salt and vinegar.
Bruno, not now.
Poison.
I think perhaps we should try to move away from food analogies.
Damn it. Well, okay. Anyway, if Lord Van Zeeks felt the need to investigate Gregson.
Yes, I agree. We must try to find out what he knows.
Okay, we will.
Vigil, you say? Is that the name of the lady who came to visit Hurley yesterday?
That's right. To ask Mr. Sholmes if he would help her to find her missing husband.
Only Mr. Sholmes completely passed the buck to us. Actually, didn't you say that Mr. Vigil had been taken to hospital? Do you know which one?
Ah, it's St. Sinner's.
I'm starting to wonder if all the other hospitals in London have closed down.
But that's amazing, Runo. You found the latest hospital already.
Well, I suppose I have, by accident.
And 10 years ago, while Mr. Vigil was the chief warder at the prison, he was responsible for overseeing the professor's incarceration.
No.
So when the convict escaped, he was held responsible and immediately dismissed.
Oh, sometimes I really don't want to grow up.
There's more. For 10 years after that, while he was ostensibly working as a peddler, he also had another secret job. He was paid by Gregson to be a stand-in, to impersonate the inspector.
To impersonate Grexy? But why?
I have absolutely no idea.
Oh, Ginny was right. I started to think all adults are up to no good now.
Oh.
Including you, Runo.
Oh, I haven't paid anyone to impersonate me. Oh.
Yet.
Oh.
That means he has ties to the professor and to Inspector Gregson, though. So, I do think we ought to pay a visit to Mr. Vigil, don't you?
Back to St. Sinners then.
Oh, great. I thought I would get a
Oh.
break.
Well, I think it's clear what we need to do, isn't it? Let us investigate, my dear fellows.
Oh, Iris! You're even more enthusiastic than usual today.
If anyone has anything to hide, my special Wilson shooting iron will soon set them straight.
That water pistol?
It's stuffed full of piping hot extra special blend of mine.
Then I'm quite sure it will be very effective.
I better be careful not to hide anything. Uh-oh. Well, it feels a little strange that Mr. Sholmes is nowhere to be seen, but still. Let's go and see what we can find out.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good.
God,
Let's-
I have a dumb theory.
What's that?
What
Reveal
is
your theory.
dumb theory?
Tell it.
So, Courtney Scythe has a daughter, right? Who probably might be the coroner right now.
I
Or-
did kind of
Oh,
think...
yeah, I guess.
did kind of... That character just sort of disappeared, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
barely remember that character, yeah.
Courtney also had a reason to, like, keep or get Genshin out of there alive for some reason that we don't know about.
Hmm?
What if Courtney's daughter is Asogi's half-sibling?
What?
Huh?
I feel like there's a small possibility of that being the case.
I'm...
That-
I'm not following.
Genshin Asogi
Yes?
had a child with Courtney Scythe?
Yes, and that is why Asogi, or Cosmo Asogi, is working so hard on the prosecutor's side because he's being blackmailed by Strongheart to like not let anything happen to her.
I'm gonna have to... I don't
That's
know.
one hell of a theory.
That's one hell of a
It's a
theory.
possibility. It's better than my Hosonaga theory.
Is it?
Yes.
What if they had a child with Hosonaga and there's Hosonaga's child? That's all that's possibly going to be.
On the plus side, though, it is November.
Oh, that's good.
Genshin Asogi's Hosonaga.
She got dressed up.
Lord Van Zeeks is reading, look.
Nerd.
He doesn't seem like he wants visitors, does he?
But he must have noticed that we're here, surely.
You just described the plot of Spirit of Justice.
Am I wrong? The police after me, they know I know the truth.
Get him!
What do you Nipponese want?
That's no way to greet the lawyer who's trying his hardest to prove your innocence, is it?
Perhaps not.
Hmm?
I apologize. So what can I do for you, Mr. Naruhodo?
Wow, I told him off and he was like, yeah, you right. Can't believe it.
Lord Van Zeeks, speaking earnestly.
Oh, the fog will lift over London for the first time in months tomorrow.
This does feel very, very strange.
I must say, I was impressed.
Oh, well, thank you.
Not by you. By your fellow Nipponese, your prosecutor friend.
I thought I did pretty good. Oh, I see. Yes.
It's sardonic, don't you think? For a man such as me, so loathing of Nipponese, to be entirely at the mercy of the two of you. I suppose it's retribution for having played the part of the Reaper all these years.
Played the part? What do you mean by that? Let's talk. You once told me that you gladly allowed people to believe that you were the Reaper, because it helped reduce the amount of serious crime that took place in London.
If keeping quiet has played the part of benefits the cause, I cause myself am committed to pursuing. Then why would I choose to say anything?
But the henchman of a criminal killed by the Reaper attacked you only the other day. And that was just the most recent of many attempts on your life, wasn't it? Someone is clearly profiting from your silence about all this. Someone is using you.
Believe me, ever since the Reaper first appeared, I have been doing my utmost to expose him. Or rather, expose the organization.
It's a whole organization.
It's inconceivable that all those accidents were orchestrated by one man. No, the Reaper always appears to have very accurate information about the accused in each case. Which can only mean that somebody at Scotland Yard is involved.
Someone you can't mean.
It's taken me many years, but I finally identified the central figure in this Reaper organization.
Oh?
Tobias Gregson.
No.
No! No!
Nah.
Gregson! The Reaper?
No. No.
Gregson's secret. So, the reason you were investigating Inspector Gregson is because you intended to expose him as the Reaper?
As I said, the Reaper of the Bailey is no single person. It's a highly secret organization with the close ties to Scotland Yard. But there's no doubt that Gregson was a key member of that organization.
I don't believe it.
Are you saying that that he was behind all those awful criminals meeting there?
Gregson didn't do the dirty work himself.
Oh.
He was the tactician. His job was to covertly investigate the marks and plot their assassinations. In order to do that without arousing suspicion, he regularly needed a firm alibi.
Which is where Mr. Vigil came in, posing as the inspector.
Vigil knows nothing of the Reaper, but the room he rents on Fresno Street was almost certainly the headquarters of the operation. Gregson would have met the assassin there for briefings.
So we don't actually know who carried out the killings then.
Actually, I do have a name.
You what?
Well, if you can name the man, then you have the true identity of the Reaper already then.
Or, if I can name the woman.
Oh.
She's a young woman by the name of Assassin.
Wait, what? Shin?
I get it.
I get it.
Miss Asa Shin. The true name of a terrifying killer I know only too well. Where did she come up? She came to Japan posing as a visiting student and murdered Dr. John H. Wilson. Then, just when it seemed that diplomatic protection would help her escape Japan and conviction, I squinted, and she died. The mysterious woman was herself murdered in a small summer beach hut. It's very creaky in there, you see.
Or was she?
Whoa,
And that
was
woman,
that in the game?
and that woman was actually the Reaper of the Valley.
It
No, that
was
was Jay. That was Jay.
Yeah, that was the squint sound effect from before.
Oh, I
remembered.
see. Mr. Naruhodo, this perhaps isn't the place to discuss.
No, of course not. We can't mention it here. The fact that she killed Dr. John H. Wilson, yeah. Because Iris doesn't know, and it's very likely that the man was her father.
Asashin. I should let father know at once.
Yes, I agree. Okay.
Kazuma, isn't it? Kazuma Sogi. You say he's a friend of yours.
My best friend. He's the whole reason I got to come to Britain. It was all on his merits. I have nothing but respect for him.
Yes, I understand that only the very best students are selected for such opportunities. And I had a fine demonstration of how sharp he is in the proceedings earlier today. He missed nothing. In fact, his flawless performance very much reminded me of his father.
Genshin Isogi, the professor.
It's true that the aristocracy at the time was the root of numerous grave societal problems. They were abusing their power, playing with the common man as pawns in politics, in economics, in war. In many ways, Asogi was carving out a canker from society that we British couldn't deal with ourselves.
I see.
But that's precisely why it makes no sense. Clint Van Steeks was a noble and upstanding man. He wasn't corrupt. Why did a damn Nipponese have to go and take my brother's life? In spite of having once saved mine.
He saved your life? How did that happen? We gotta talk about that.
Do we have to talk about that?
We do have to talk about that.
It was 10 years ago, on a foggy night.
Do it.
Damn it, I'm doing it. What was it the professor's final strike had sent? A wave of panic through the capital.
So Clint Van Seeks had already been killed at this point, then?
Genshin and I were walking down some back streets at a late hour. Of course, at that point, I had no idea of the true nature of the man at my side. All of a sudden...
Don't make a peep, you're coming with us?
Was that Gregson?
Whoa!
Oh.
We were
Hi.
surrounded. All of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scarves. Clint was not only from noble heritage, he was a brilliant prosecutor as well. The scum of London hated the sight of him, and they had no sympathy for his younger brother either. I'd been targeted several times before already.
Yeah, it's Van Seeks, alright, we got him!
I could hear them murmuring amongst themselves. I knew they were after me. But just when I thought my time had come...
If I let them kill you, Clint would never forgive me.
It was Asogi's voice. Just a whisper in my ear.
Oh.
After that, I don't remember exactly what happened. The next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He shielded me. 2 days later, they arrested him. on suspicion of being London's most notorious mass murderer ever. The Professor, which is totally gonna be the case.
No.
How awful for you.
All at once. I lost a brother I revered and the foreign friend I held in such high regard.
I'm so sorry, Lord Van Zieks.
That's the end of my miserable tale. I never thought I'd recount it to anyone.
Well, thank you for confiding in me.
The Professor, the Reaper, and Inspector Gregson. I wonder just how intimately related they all are.
I still can't quite believe that Gregson was essentially the Reaper. Giving assassination orders to Giselle Brett?
Mr. Naruhodo, let's go and inform my father. I'm sure our government will want to hear about this new information.
Oh, that means I get to meet your daddy, Susie. Hooray! Oh no.
This is where it's gonna happen, isn't it?
Yes, alright. Let's head back to the Great Waterloo Hotel then. Alright, bye. See ya.
Bye, Van Zieks. Thank you.
Later.
It's the hotel. It's November.
I thought it yesterday, and I think it again today. This place is so princely.
It's a wild guess, but I have a feeling you'll think the same tomorrow too.
My tea has a finer fragrance than whatever they are serving in the tea room over here, though. Wouldn't you say?
It's probably Mikitoba.
Yeah. Haha, look who we have here. This is a nice unexpected pleasure. Yeah.
Ah, Father.
Oh, is this your daddy, Susie? How lovely!
And what a charming young lady. And you are?
I'm Iris Watson.
Wilson.
Wilson. Both.
Oh, really? So you're the author of The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, are you?
Don't fuck this up, Mikitoba, please.
That's me, Iris Wilson, at your service, sir.
Uh-oh.
Susie's been such a wonderful friend to me over the last year, you know?
And your father was a great friend to me. Good man. Shame how he had that.
No!
Shame what happened to him. Well, Miss Wilson, I must say I read your work regularly and with much interest.
Iris actually lives with Mr. Sholmes, you know, Father.
Is that so? Well, perhaps there goes some way to explaining that bright look in your eyes.
You wouldn't be smiling so airily if you knew just how bright she is, believe me.
Now then, young Naruhodo, it was a pleasure seeing you in action earlier. As an invitee of the symposium, I was allowed to observe from the gallery, after I twisted some arms. And I must say, it was a truly exemplary performance.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Although I'm fairly sure you omitted by Kazuma on the end there.
No, please don't understand. It was you who impressed me.
Really?
You didn't miss a step against Asogi, and we all know how capable he is. Really, to have matured into such a fine defense lawyer in less than a year is quite extraordinary.
It's very kind of you to say so. And really nice to hear.
What I saw in court today confirmed what I'd been hoping for. The favor I mentioned yesterday, Naruhodo, I trust you haven't forgotten?
Oh, no, you did mention something, didn't you?
But first, we have something to report, Father.
Of course. Shall we take tea while we discuss matters further?
I wonder where Judge Shigoku has got to. Let's talk.
Father, Do you know about the so-called Reaper of the Bailey?
I've heard rumors. Some members of the judiciary explained it all to me yesterday. Of course, when I was a visiting student here in London, the Reaper was yet to emerge.
Right, he didn't appear until after that case when the visiting students had already returned home.
Lord Van Zeeks who was in the dock today. That was Barak, the younger brother of Clint Van Zeeks, I believe.
That's right. And he's known throughout London as the Reaper, as you've heard. But the truth is, it wasn't him behind all those mysterious deaths. It was somebody else.
I see. So what you're saying is there's been a professional killer at work here.
Exactly. Someone by the name of Asa Shin, in fact.
I beg your pardon. That's a pun. Did you say Assassin? You mean that Giselle Brett woman who was responsible for killing my great friend?
Mikitoba!
Wilson?
Oh no, a friend of yours was killed!
Clench!
Professor Mikitoba, I think perhaps we shouldn't discuss this right now. Because the friend the professor is talking about is Dr. John H. Wilson. And that's not something we want Iris to find out about. Not like this, anyway. You guys should really have a talk with her.
Yeah.
What?
Ah, I've just remembered something. Biscuits! This hotel has the most delicious looking biscuits.
That was rather out of the blue.
She's doing this deliberately.
I think I'll go see if I can purchase some. I wonder, would you like to come too, Iris?
Oh yes! You just tried to leave me behind.
Being a real G. So that young girl is called Iris Wilson, is she?
Yes, that's right.
And she's the author of all those adventure stories starring the great Detective Sholmes. But the name of the credited author isn't Iris, is it? It's Dr. John H. Wilson.
Yes, I know. That's the name of her father, you see.
Her father? Dr. John H. Wilson. I was deeply indebted to that man for all the kindness he showed me during my time in London. That's why I was keen to reciprocate and invite him to the Imperial Yume University 4 years ago.
But he was murdered last year by Giselle Brett. Why? Why would the hand of the Reaper stretch all the way to Japan? Iris knows nothing about the case, but it seems very likely that the victim, Dr. Wilson, was her father.
Well, I can't say that we ever spoke about his family, so I don't know if he had a daughter or not. But I think I can say with some certainty that he was never the great detective's partner.
So it could have been another Dr. Wilson, you think?
Well, John and Wilson are both common names after all. Still, it's probably best not to mention this to the young lady until we can be sure.
That's what we thought, yes. Ah!
I heard everything!
Yay!
No!
Oh.
We're back with cinnamon biscuits!
I misheard you. I misheard you. I thought you said I came back with everything. And I'm like, ooh, delicious treats, thank you. Oh, they smell delicious, Iris.
I think cinnamon will go very well with the tea they have served here. Don't you, Susie?
Yes, I'm sure you're right, Iris.
Boop. I haven't seen Judge Jigoku for a while, have you? That's Jay. JB.
Oh, you two! It's me now. Goodbye. Oh no, I'm still here.
But that guilty is still ringing in my ears.
Now he's gone.
No, now that you mention it, I haven't seen him since this morning either. I suppose since the symposium's opening was postponed, they'll have gone to explore the great exhibition.
Mm.
Yeah.
That reminds me of something you mentioned yesterday. About Judge Jigoku having once been in the dock himself.
Ah, yes. It was all tied up with that accursed trial.
The closed trial of Cosmo's father.
Seishiro was trying to mitigate Genshin's guilt, so he took to the stand to testify. But he got a little carried away and actually managed to break the witness stand.
Well,
Oh my!
He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire, for which he was charged.
oh dear. Although it's worryingly easy to imagine him doing that.
Well, it was all right in the end. He was acquitted and we returned home to Japan together.
You mean that you were forced to return home to Japan together because of what he did?
Thank goodness.
Ah, yes. Talking of Seishiro, I have a copy of the photograph we all took together here yesterday. Please,
Oh, great. Thanks.
put this in your court record.
I will.
It'll
Thanks.
be useful.
Oh,
Oh, what a lovely picture.
it certainly seems to shout, "We've arrived in Britain." The commemorative photograph has been entered the court record. Yep.
He's so nervous.
Am I allowed to talk about something that's been bothering me for a while?
Maybe.
So we keep talking about this this trip that they had from Japan, and
Yeah.
I went back and I did a little re-listening, and the judge said that he didn't have to get shook down when he got on the boat. He was able to get on without his stuff being checked. I'm sketched. I think he's doing something.
Squint?
Yep.
Squint.
Maybe a little bit of a squint?
Yeah, it's a big squint. Huge squint. Did you say that?
Oh, none of us had any idea what was coming when we took that, did we?
No. No, that's so true.
The favor.
The favor.
Favor.
So, you mentioned a favor that you'd like to ask me.
Well, this fateful trial that you're fighting, one way or another, it will be over before long. And when it is, I'd like you to accompany me back to Japan.
You want me to do...
What? What?
Father, what's the meaning of this?
Now, Susato, you should understand. You've seen how our courts work firsthand. Japan's judicial system is in its infancy, especially when it comes to defense.
Oh, you mean...
The Supreme Court of Judicature, is in desperate need of a good defense lawyer. As soon as possible. Really, quite urgently, in fact.
Oh my god. But I've not even been in London a year yet.
I've read all of Susato's reports. I'm well aware of your extraordinary talents.
Oh my god.
And having seen you in action with my own eyes earlier today, there's no question. You, Naruhodo, are precisely the man our country needs.
Oh.
So, you believing then, Runo?
But then, what am I supposed to do, Father?
You came here to serve as Asogi's judicial assistant.
Oh yes, she's supposed to be Cosmo's assistant.
Our government is still in the process of deciding how best to deal with his situation, though. You have always chosen your own path, Susato. And I trust your judgment in this matter also.
Father!
Please, the pair of you, don't look so downcast. It's merely a suggestion, you understand? A hope, if I'm honest. But I won't force you. All I ask is that you consider it, and come to a decision by the time this trial concludes.
Yes. All right. I will.
You won't leave Will you, Runo?
The thought hadn't even crossed my mind. Up until now, I've just been trying to do what I believe to be Cosmo's will. But it turns out that he's still alive, so where does that leave me?
Well, if you'll excuse me now, I need to telegram government ministers and the Japanese police with this information about Asashin.
Of course, Father. Thank you.
I look forward to next month's installment, Miss Wilson.
Oh, good. And please, do come to Baker Street sometime, won't you? We'd love to entertain you.
I would be delighted. The best of luck for tomorrow, Naruhodo. And, give my suggestion your full consideration, won't you?
Yes, I will. Going back home. That's a huge offer.
Yeah.
You know, Kazuma-sama has always meant a great deal to my father. I'm sure he'd love the chance to meet with him and talk to him about all of this.
Yes, no doubt. Asashin? Of course, it's so obvious. Oh no! It's
Somebody
Iris.
heard that.
No, it's Iris. She knows.
Of course, so obvious.
Oh, what?
Oh, no. No.
How could I have neglected to consider the possibility before now?
Sholmes, shut up. Mr. Sholmes.
Oh, God.
Hurley, where have you been?
Why, I joined you all for tea, of course. What an extraordinary question.
I didn't notice you at all.
No matter, no matter. Anyway, to more pressing concerns, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh, yes.
I must dispatch a telegram to your country at once. It is a matter of much urgency.
To Japan, you mean? What?
Tell me, to whom can I entrust the task? Quickly now! Whoo!
What?
What?
Well... My father has just now left to send a telegram to the Imperial Police Bureau of Japan himself.
I see. Well, he looked reliable enough for a bearded fellow.
You tried to say something?
If you don't
think-
trust yourself with a razor, who can you trust?
I don't think what father sports could be considered a beard, Mr. Sholmes.
There's not a moment to lose. Kindly ask your trusty, unshaven father to see if this is sent.
I will, but what is it? What is
A
it?
letter! Oh, no questions at this time, if you please, Miss Susato. All we can do is pray that for once, my deduction is
Awry.
thank you.
Awry, sir.
Doesn't that imply that your deductions are normally correct, Mr. Shah?
Now then! You may be surprised to learn that I am a very busy man. I certainly have no time to hide behind settees and eavesdrop into other people's conversations.
So that's what joining us for tea meant.
Settees, yes.
Mhm.
I leave the sending of this in your hands then, my dear fellows.
Okay. Wait a minute, Mr. Sholmes.
He just ran off, didn't he? At quite the pace.
And left the unpaid bill for his tea behind, too.
I must catch up with father at the telegraph office at once.
And I'll run and call us a cab straight away.
Okay, bye. And there was me, thinking everyone would be clamoring to pay Mr. Sholmes' bill. Okay, I guess we're leaving now.
Are we alone? Oh, no.
What a grand place. Father, the prison. This place seems so pursuit, Lord Van Zeeks. That's good. This place is thick with dust. There's a chill in here. Don't put. Oh, yep. Here we go.
All right.
It's November.
Dude.
This is the ward where Mr. Vigil was brought, apparently.
To be frank, I'm a little worried about seeing him again.
There he be. The lawyer. Hello again.
Are you feeling better now, Mr. Vigil?
Yes, thank you. Somewhat better.
I'm so sorry to have caused you to... I mean, it was because of me. If I hadn't exposed your secret and forced you to remember things you'd obviously tried to forget...
The prosecutor was here until a few moments ago, too. You just missed him.
Oh, Cosmo beat us to it.
He said much the same as you. He was very apologetic. But the truth is, I brought all this upon myself.
Please don't think like that.
Keeping it from Evie, my wife, all these years, I've carried such a sense of guilt. But that's not the worst of it. Over time, I obviously came to deceive myself as well.
You mean about your dismissal?
Looking back now, I'm beginning to think that perhaps Inspector Gregson didn't stumble across me by accident at all. I mean, he compensated me so generously for acting as his stand-in. He was clearly concerned for my well-being and doing what he could to help.
So perhaps Gregson knew exactly what had to become of Mr. Vigil all along, then. All along.
I'm sure this is just deserts for 10 years of lies and deception, but I'm sure it's not just desserts. It wasn't me that helped the professor escape 10 years ago. It wasn't me. I swear it. I swear it's true.
Oh, Mr. Vigil.
I'm sure you'd rather not dredge up even more from your past at this time, but if possible, could you tell us exactly what really happened?
I want to. I need to get this all off my chest.
Sorry, I cut out for a moment. Did I miss something?
No, not really.
Think so? We just started talking to this guy. I just want someone to tell me what I should have done.
Okay, let's talk.
Inspector Gregson was obviously engaged in a special operation of some sort. He was investigating something that even Scotland Yard couldn't know about.
Details of the Reaper's marks, yes.
It was when he had to carry out those investigations that I would take his identification and impersonate him.
You'd pretend to be the inspector and carry out investigations on his behalf.
No, never! A common street peddler couldn't possibly carry out a proper police investigation. All I would do is go to the specified location and make a little hoo-ha. Hoo-ha! 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 Just something to leave an impression, so everyone there would think a detective called Gregson was here.
So, that's what you were doing on the day prior to the incident?
Yes, he asked me to make an appearance at the park on Lime Street for the Red-Headed League event. So, as usual, I flashed the inspector's identification around and was very vocal about my presence.
But then you were taken prisoner by those red-headed fraudsters.
Yes.
So, you would always make a point of showing Gregson's identification and generally being loud?
That's what the inspector asked me to do, yes.
Well, that's one way of becoming a legendary detective, I suppose. Not a good one, though.
And as you know, I suffered this bruising around my neck at their hands. But the following day, they kept their word and released me.
Without returning the inspector's identification to you, however.
We had arranged to meet in the Fresno Street room at 5 that day, so I could report back to the inspector. But at the agreed time, that's when I heard the gunshot.
Hmm.
It was midnight on 17th of June, 10 years ago. That was the time scheduled for the execution.
But the professor's execution never actually took place, did it?
Or rather, the execution itself must have been used to effect the plan of escape. I hardly dare to imagine what a chilling plan it was.
Berkeley was renowned for being the highest security prison in the country. Everything that went in or out of the place was searched multiple times. But there was one notable exception. Or rather, one notable loophole. Something that was never questioned.
I have a feeling I know what that loophole was now. The coffins into which the bodies of the executed convicts were placed, correct?
Yes. Once the coroner had confirmed the death of a condemned convict, the body was taken in its coffin for immediate burial in the Lowgate Cemetery just behind the prison. The chief warder first had to sign the necessary papers. And after that, no member of staff was permitted to touch the coffin containing the body again. When executions took place, only the executioner and the coroner were permitted inside the chamber. I would wait in the adjacent room for word that the condemned convict was dead. On that occasion, once I had that confirmation, I went into the mortuary to find a lone coffin, as usual. The procedure was that I would sign the paperwork, having checked the coffin, then nail it shut. But for some reason that day, the coffin was already nailed shut.
No!
I didn't think anything of it at the time. I assumed that my deputy must have checked the coffin and nailed it shut before I arrived.
So you mean the coffin contained...
Yes, I can only imagine that Sergei, having escaped his execution somehow, was alive inside the coffin. The coffin was then taken out through the main gates and deposited in Lowgate Cemetery.
Presumably there wouldn't have been enough air inside to breathe for long.
So in the early hours following the burial, somebody dug up the coffin again to set Genshin free.
But in the end, he was fatally shot in the graveyard anyway. What on earth really happened in Lowgate Cemetery that night, I wonder?
I'm afraid I really don't know. All I can say with certainty are two things. Asogi couldn't possibly have escaped that way without help from somebody working in the prison. And that somebody was not me.
Obviously, you knew the man then. The professor, I mean. Genshin Asogi.
Yes, I remember him well, in fact.
Would you mind telling us what you know?
Well, having been condemned to death as he was, any contact I had with the man was short, obviously. After the trial, which was carried out behind closed doors, attended only by elite members of the judiciary, they called for his execution to be carried out at the earliest possible opportunity.
The outcome of the trial was set from the beginning, wasn't it?
It was a time of delicate diplomacy, when Britain and Japan were in the process of signing important treaty. That meant that this potentially destabilizing case had to be dealt with swiftly and discreetly.
The man had less than a week in total. As I was the chief warder, I oversaw his short stay in the cells until his final hour. I remember being struck deeply by his noble character and incredible resilience.
What do you mean exactly?
He was a killer of many men, but he was always quiet and polite. He was a gentleman and a man of intellect. In fact, I couldn't bring myself to believe what he'd done, so I asked him one day, "Those 5 members of the aristocracy whose lives were taken, were you really responsible?"
I'm guilty of the unforgivable crime of ending another human's life, yes.
The following day, the closed trial took place, and the verdict was no surprise.
Guilty.
That night, when he was brought back to his cell, I saw something. Something unusual.
Something unusual? What?
The last will and testament of Genshin Asogi.
What?
Okay. As I said, it was on the night following his trial, after he'd been found guilty. I was doing the rounds of the cell. Pardon me.
Oh.
I was doing the rounds of the cells, and when I looked into Asogi's, I noticed he seemed to have a sheet of paper in his hand.
Ah, his last will and testament then, presumably.
As soon as he noticed me, he hurriedly shoved it behind his back.
But why did you find that so unusual? Isn't it normal for a man to pen a will when he knows his death is nigh?
Yes, that's true. But there were special conditions to Asogi's incarceration, you see.
What sort of conditions?
Well, even though he was held in a cell designed for the condemned inmates, he was allowed to keep his personal effects with him, with one exception.
Really? He was allowed his things? That is unusual, certainly.
Of course, he'd been convicted of killing 5 members of the aristocracy. But at the same time, he was a guest in our country from the Empire of Japan. The powers that be were determined that his final days shouldn't be needlessly uncomfortable.
And what was the exception you mentioned to the personal effects that he was allowed?
Was it stationary? That's the point. He wasn't permitted to have his writing materials. Specifically, no pens or paper.
So, he was prevented from leaving any written record of what had happened to him.
Oh.
Yes, that was the long and short of it. I have no idea where he obtained that paper. Any writing materials would have been confiscated from him upon his incarceration. As I said, he hid the paper behind his back, and then he pleaded with me. Lots of plosives in this sentence. Why did you just hide behind your back?
Please, please turn a blind eye. This is my lifeline.
But you know it's against the rules.
You're the only person who's seen. If you just agree to keep quiet.
All right then. But what's on that paper?
A last will and testament. This will is the only weapon I have left now.
How can a will be a weapon?
So I decided to pretend I'd seen nothing, and I let him keep his will. But then, later, it just seemed to vanish without a trace.
What? What do you mean it vanished?
It would seem that isn't the end of the story of this mysterious will.
I was the only person who saw Asogi's will, but somehow
But somehow
pardon
it
me.
disappeared.
My apologies, you'll go right ahead.
Oh, that's quite fine.
It was after Asogi's execution.
which was actually an elaborate jailbreak.
The warders gathered up Isogi's possessions that were in his cell. They were all to be sent back to his family home in Japan, you see.
To poor Kazuma-sama.
And you're saying that it wasn't anywhere to be found amongst his personal effects? The will, I mean.
That's right, though I didn't search through them myself. But Governor Caden was livid. He was screaming. It's gonna have disappeared completely. I told you I'm very good at accents.
Very well done. That doesn't quite make sense, though, does it?
In what way?
Well, we'd understood that only Mr. Vigil was aware of the will's existence. In which case, how did the prison governor know to look for it?
Oh yes, you're right.
I really don't know how he knew. But it certainly seemed as though he knew of the will's existence from the outset. Only he didn't refer to it as a will. What he said was... the Asogi Papers.
The Asogi Papers.
Like a manifesto? Huh. I really can't tell you anything of the subsequent events. Because, well, of what happened.
Your dismissal, and the way you blocked it all out from your memory.
I'd forgotten all this until today. I don't suppose it's relevant to the case, though.
No. Well, anyway, thank you very much for sharing it with us, Mr. Vigil. We're very grateful.
I'm afraid there's really little more I can tell you. My wife, Evie, will be here shortly, so I do hope I won't appear rude, but,
No, not at all. Thank you again.
But what will become of you now?
that's up to Evie. Well, impersonating a police officer is a criminal offense, of course. I imagine that once I'm fully recovered, I shall be arrested.
I'm so sorry.
Don't be, please. Oh, pardon me. Don't be, please. This was all my own doing. I always knew that this day would come.
Well, I wish you well. Goodbye, Mr. Vigil. Okay. What?
Oh! Before you go, there's just one thing.
Oh, yes. What is it?
The Asogi Papers.
Huh?
I'd be very grateful if you'd make no mention of the things I told you about them.
Presumably for some good reason.
It's my understanding that their very existence is a closely guarded secret. If it became known that I'd remembered, well, it could be rather troublesome, I think.
I understand. Some sort of will that Genshin Asogi penned just before his death, which the man himself claimed was his last weapon. I wonder, perhaps it had something to do with his plan to escape. If there's anyone who might know more about a document that Cosmo's father left behind.
It would be Mr. Vigil's governor.
Then we know precisely where we must go. Back to Barclay Prison.
Okay.
Right now,
which is
Right this
next week.
second.
Next
Perfect
week.
time to say.
Yeah, actually, that was really well timed out.
Yeah.
This episode is really good. There's so
No,
much
it's
groundbreaking
Hell
stuff.
yeah.
It
Went
was fun.
So many places.
Yeah.
I have a
I-
question.
yes.
yes.
Mhm.
Why do the arm motions of Mr. Man? Why are they so
Do
familiar?
that? Oh,
Why are they familiar?
Yeah, there's somebody else who did that, but I cannot remember who.
Drebber? Are you thinking of Drebber?
Drebber was pretty eccentric in the way he moved.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
I kind of got the same sense.
Heads around his head.
I don't know. But either way, folks, this was super fun. Thank you all very much for coming in. What are we doing tomorrow? Oh, Natsume. Natsume. It was Natsume.
Natsume?
It was Natsume.
Mm.
Remember, sometimes he would grab his head in a weird angle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
But yeah,
What is
tomorrow we are sleeping.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Tomorrow we rest. Tomorrow is a break day. Yes.
Tomorrow
and then
is the break night.
and then the day after.
Me and Jay are gonna go back to hell.
Oh.
Yes. Kangas hell.
What?
That is the
Pokemon
Pokemon
Coliseum.
Coliseum co-op randomizer
yes, yes.
Nuzlocke.
Thank you, Lunar. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Yes. Yeah. What kind of soup? The truth revealed soup, I think. Wow.
Sky
soup.
soup.
Oh, disguise soup. Also that big lip soup. Ugh, get that out of the soup.
So don't forget to put in your votes for the Splatfest on Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah. It'll be great.
Yes, the announcement video for the theme of the Splatfest held this Saturday has been announced on our YouTube. Check that video out and also vote for your teams.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a right video.
Yeah. For right now, folks, though, we are gonna be heading out. Thank you all very much for coming in, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.
Good night.
Bye bye.
Bye.